Chima's eyes slowly opened to the warm rays of the sun peeking through the window. He stretched his small frame and yawned, feeling the softness of his grandmother's bed. It was a familiar comfort, one that had been his for as long as he could remember. At 12 years old, Chima had already experienced more loss than most people face in a lifetime. His parents had passed away when he was just a toddler, leaving him in the care of his grandmother. She had been his rock, his confidant, and his best friend. But life with Grandma was not without its challenges. They lived in a small village, where everyone knew each other's business. Grandma worked tirelessly to make ends meet, and Chima did his part to help. He assisted with household chores, cooked meals, and ran errands. It was a simple, yet fulfilling life. That was until the day his uncle came to visit. Uncle Tony was a tall, imposing figure with a commanding presence. He was a city boy, always dressed in the latest fashions and carrying himself with an air of confidence. Chima had never seen him before, but he had heard stories about his uncle's success in the city. "Grandma, who is that?" Chima asked, peeking through the window. "That's your Uncle Tony, Chima," Grandma replied, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "He's come to take you to the city." Chima's heart skipped a beat. The city. He had never been to the city before. What would it be like? Would he make new friends? Would he like it? Grandma seemed to sense his uncertainty. She knelt down beside him and took his hands in hers. "Chima, I know this is a lot to take in, but I think it's for the best. Your uncle can provide for you in ways that I cannot. You'll have access to better schools, better health care, and more opportunities." Chima nodded, trying to process it all. He knew that Grandma wanted the best for him, but a part of him was scared to leave her behind. The day of his departure arrived, and Chima felt a lump form in his throat. He hugged Grandma tightly, trying to hold back tears. "I'll miss you, Grandma," he whispered. "I'll miss you too, Chima," Grandma replied, her voice cracking with emotion. "But you'll be back to visit soon, and I'll be here waiting for you." Chima nodded, taking one last look at the only home he had ever known. He climbed into the car with Uncle Tony, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation as they drove away from the village. The city was everything Chima had imagined and more. Towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, and endless noise. It was overwhelming, yet exhilarating. Uncle Tony's house was a sprawling mansion in an upscale neighborhood. Chima's eyes widened as he stepped inside, taking in the opulent decor and expensive furnishings. Auntie Rachel, Uncle Tony's wife, welcomed Chima warmly and showed him to his new room. Chima was amazed by the size and luxury of the room. He had never seen anything like it before. At first, Chima was happy in his new home. Auntie Rachel was kind to him, and he enjoyed exploring the city. But soon, Chima began to feel uncomfortable around Auntie Rachel. She would touch him in ways that made him feel strange and scared. Chima didn't know what to do. He felt trapped and alone. He didn't want to make Uncle Tony angry, but he couldn't bear the way Auntie Rachel was treating him. One day, Auntie Rachel called Chima into her bedroom. She was sitting on the bed, wearing a revealing nightgown. Chima felt a sense of unease as she beckoned him closer. "Chima, come here," she whispered, her voice husky. Chima hesitated, but Auntie Rachel's eyes seemed to bore into his soul. He felt trapped, unable to move or speak. Auntie Rachel reached out and touched Chima, her hands roaming over his body. Chima felt a wave of revulsion wash over him. He knew that this was wrong, but he didn't know how to stop it. "Chima, don't be shy," Auntie Rachel cooed. "I'm just showing you affection." But Chima knew that this was more than just affection. He felt violated, and he didn't know how to process his emotions. The abuse continued for weeks, with Auntie Rachel becoming more and more brazen. Chima felt like he was living in a nightmare, and he didn't know how to wake up. Pause. If you enjoying this story, please, like, comment and share. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Let us continue. But one day, Uncle Tony noticed that something was wrong. Chima had become withdrawn and quiet, and he seemed to be avoiding Auntie Rachel. Chima, what's wrong? Uncle Tony asked, sitting down beside him. Chima hesitated, unsure of how to respond. But something about Uncle Tony's kind eyes and gentle tone put him at ease. Uncle Tony, it's Auntie Rachel, Chima whispered, his voice trembling. She's been touching me in ways that make me feel uncomfortable. Uncle Tony's face went white with rage. He stood up, his fists clenched, and stormed out of the room. Chima felt a wave of fear wash over him. What would happen next? Would Uncle Tony believe him? But as he waited anxiously, he heard Uncle Tony's voice, loud and clear. Auntie Rachel, we need to talk, Uncle Tony thundered. Chima didn't know what to expect, but he knew that his life was about to change forever. The conversation that followed was intense and emotional. Auntie Rachel broke down, confessing to the abuse and revealing a deep-seated insecurity that had driven her to seek validation in the wrong ways. Uncle Tony was devastated, but he listened, trying to understand. He realized that he had been so caught up in his own world that he had neglected his wife and his nephew. The family began to heal, slowly and painfully. They sought counseling and therapy, working through their issues and learning to communicate effectively. Chima finally felt like he had found his voice, like he could finally express the emotions that had been bottled up inside him for so long. As they worked through their issues,